Hi, this is Erin from TaroWorks, and welcome to part 4 of the TaroWorks Field Mapping series. Today we're going to create new child records for an existing parent record. If you haven't watched the Terms and Overview video, I'd recommend going back and potentially covering the previous exercises as well. So today our scenario is we're creating new well site members for an existing well site record. So what we're doing is sending our field officers out. They're going to go to a particular well site, and there's a meeting set up, and the community members that are actually using that well site are all going to gather around and register with us as members of that well site. Again, a reminder of the object structure. The main objects we're going to be working with today are well site and well site member. So for an existing well site record, we want to generate new child records that are well site member records. For this example, now we're going to be leveraging data out of the system. We're actually going to do 2 iterations of this exercise. The first is without those first 3 tools, mobile record assignment, drill down hierarchies, and task mapping, and then we'll go back and leverage those. So you can see the power of using Salesforce information dynamically with your field staff. So let's dive into Salesforce. So we've already created our survey to create new well site members for an existing well site. For the well site record, all we need is some type of reference to which well site we're adding well site members to, and then we need a question for each piece of information we need to create the well site member record. Additionally, in this survey, we're leveraging a repeating section. So that means once the mobile user is done filling out the information for the first well site member, they'll be prompted to see if they want to do it again. With each repetition of the section, we want a new well site member record created for that existing well site. So let's take a look at the field mapping. For this scenario, we're going to be leveraging 2 objects, the well site object and the well site member object. Let's take a look at the 3 field mapping levers we have for each of these objects. Starting with the well site object, the ID field should be populated. We want to reference an existing record in the system. Additionally, the isReference object checkmark box will be checked because we are not updating any data in this object. We're only using an existing record as a reference to add child records to. So in order to populate the ID field, an ID needs to be the response to one of your survey questions. Once I populate that, it will be populated here for me. So these are our settings for the well site object. Now let's move on to the well site member object. With our scenario, our field officer is going to a well site out of the system, and there are currently no well site members in our system for those well sites, and we want to register all the members that are going to be using that well. So we want a new record created every time these questions are populated on this repeating section. So with each iteration of that repeating section, we want to create a new well site member. So we're going to leave the ID field blank. You can't have a reference without an ID, and we almost always want to set the relationship. So by setting the relationship between the well site member and the well site, that relationship field on the child object or the well site member object is going to be populated with a reference to that parent. And then all we need to do is map our fields. And save. Now we can publish this survey. Let's create the job. It's going to have a collect data task to push this survey to the device. We're going to create a new job. And we actually are going to use the drill down hierarchy and some of the other tools to draw data out of the system. For our initial iteration of this exercise, let's skip that drill down hierarchy section and go ahead and just push the survey to the device. So we're going to create a new collect data task. The survey that we just created. Then we're going to save, publish, and assign this published job to our test account. Now that we've published a job, we can sync it to the device. Now let's say for our scenario, our field officer is at well site Northwest 53, and she wants to register all of the members that use this well. So we're going to click to add members to the well site. We're going to add the well site's name, Northwest 53. Add our first member. When you're in a repeating section, you can see at the top which record you're on by the count. Enter a date of birth. Picture. And collect a signature. Right now, I can go to the next well site member I want to register. Birth, take a picture, and collect the signature. And so on and so forth for as many members as I'd like to register for this well site. Let's say this is the end of the line. This is everyone using this well site. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this job complete and sync this data into Salesforce. So now when I go to that well site Northwest 53 and refresh in Salesforce, I should see the new members that I just added. So we have Aaron and Christy. So it's not likely that our field staff are going to have the IDs for each well site memorized. It would be much easier if they could just reference the well site by selecting it from a list. Luckily, we have a few tools that are going to help us do that. So to use data out of our Salesforce database, we're going to use a combination of 3 tools. At the highest level, we have mobile record assignment. To assign mobile records, I go to the Mobile Users tab and click on the mobile user's name. When you assign a mobile user record, you are not just giving that mobile user access to the record you're assigning, but any and all child records of that parent record. Let's say in our scenario, our mobile users are managed via regions. Each mobile user is assigned at least one region to manage. So to assign a region to this mobile user, we're going to click Assign Records. We're going to select the region object, and then click Assign Records again. And let's display the records in the system, since we know there aren't very many. Then I just check the regions that I want assigned to this mobile user. Click Submit and Save. Now these 5 regions and all of the child records related to these regions are accessible to this mobile user. Now that this data is being sent to the device, how do we actually use it in our jobs? Let's clone our previous job and edit it. And this time we'll call this job Add Members to the Well Site with the Drill Down Hierarchy. You can add optional instructions if we like, just as before, but this time we're also going to leverage a drill down hierarchy. The drill down hierarchy defines what data on the device needs to be used in this job. To add our drill down hierarchy, we're going to click Add Drill Down Hierarchy and give the hierarchy a name. Typically, I'll name my drill down hierarchy what the end goal of the drill down is. In this example, we want to expose the well site name to the mobile user so that it can be used in the survey. So I'm going to call this drill down select well site. The object we're going to start with is the region object. So the mobile user would first be displayed a list of regions. The field that's displayed in the record list
is the field from this object that we want to represent each record. So for example, if we chose number of well sites, the mobile user would be looking at a list of integers, which doesn't really make sense and isn't helpful for selecting a particular region. So what probably makes the most sense to represent each record is the region name. Then if there's any other data we'd like exposed to the mobile user, we can choose to display that by putting the available fields that we want exposed into the selected fields column. You can also change the order in which they're displayed vertically using these up and down arrows. So we have the first object defined for our drill down hierarchy. Now let's add another object. As you can see, the list of objects that are available selection are all child objects of the region object. We want our mobile user to now select a well site from the region they previously selected. Again, the field displayed in the record list will be the well site name, which probably makes the most sense for individually defining each well site. And if there's any other information we'd like to expose about that well site, we can select that from the available fields column and put it into the selected column. In order to use a value in our survey, it needs to be a selected field. So if we want to be able to pass in the well site name by using our next tool, it needs to be available here. We're going to go ahead and click Save. Now, we've exposed a menu of regions and a menu of well sites to our mobile user, but no values have been pre-populated into the survey yet. That is done on the task mapping. So if I click Edit on our task, you can see now I have this add link under Select Well Site. This is where I can take values from the record selected by the mobile user and pre-populate it into my survey. So I'm going to take the well site record that was selected by the mobile user, and the well site name from that record, and pre-populate it into the survey question called well site name. So go ahead and click Save. And I'll go ahead and publish this job and assign it to our test account. Now we can sync on the mobile device. And now let's walk through this job. So the name of the job that's listed in the jobs list, add members to well site with DDH, comes from the job name field. Any optional instructions would be displayed in this instructions button. We didn't add any. On this page will also be listed all the tasks for this job. And the name of the task comes from the task name field. If you remember, we populated that here in the title. So add members to well site. Once we start the job, before we get to the survey, we're going to go down our drill down hierarchy. In the top, the name of the job would appear. In this black bar, the first thing we'll see is the name of the drill down hierarchy. So we named our drill down hierarchy select well site, as it appears here. And then we'll also see all the objects that are involved in this hierarchy. And the one that we are currently selecting records from will be underlined. So we're starting with the region object. And these 5 records that are displayed here are due to mobile record assignment. So as you recall, the mobile user was assigned 5 regions. And if I look at those regions, it's Amber City East, West, Carrotville, Northeast, and Northwest, as listed here. Now, if I wanted to look at the detail fields about any of these regions, I could click on this piece of paper icon to the left. The region name and the number of well sites is displayed, as defined in the detail fields in our drill down hierarchy. Region name, number of well sites. For the last level of the drill down, these detail fields are going to be displayed to the mobile user automatically without having to click on that paper icon. So once I select a region, then I can select a well site. And for each of these levels of the drill down, the field that represented each record in the object is defined by the field displayed in the record list on drill down. So for well site, we chose the well site name to be listed. If I'd chosen create a date, for example, the records would each be represented by the date they were created, and that would make it very difficult for the mobile user to choose the intended well site. So once we select the well site, automatically the detail fields are going to be displayed to the mobile user. Well site name, any issues, and GPS coordinates as defined here. And if you recall, in order for anything to be mapped into the survey and pre-populated as a response, the options to be able to do so are only the detail fields for each object. So well site name, any issues, GPS coordinates. If you ever come to do your task mapping and that object field is missing, it's because you didn't expose it as a detail field. So now I'm going to leave my drill down and enter my survey, and our well site name is pre-populated and not editable. That value, Northwest 53, is coming in from the record that the mobile user selected on the drill down, and the system knows to do this because of task mapping. So as we just saw, we said from the well site object, the record that the mobile user selects, take the object field well site name and pre-populate it into my survey question, well site name. And that's what caused that value to come here. So now if I go ahead and add another member, let's say I'm just adding one member today. Mark that job complete. Sync it into the system. And then I can go to my well site in Salesforce and see my newest well site member added to Northwest 53. And that's it. Thank you for joining, and please join us for the final installment of this series where we'll update existing records in Salesforce. Thanks for watching and have a great day.